Today, many organizations are looking at tactics to increase their limited resources. These companies are doing it by not having to have them in inventory, or in a bank or by the clock where they are called on from their own supply. Many companies intentionally don't pay to have their inventory readily available now. Rather, they get access to it as much as possible, but from another company that does the inventory work, much like outsourcing. In other words, companies are hiring out access to the resources, something like on-demand inventory or resource access. So, a company may not hire as many people full-time as they really need, but rely on temporary workers when the need arises. The same goes for equipment or supplies. They may access these from others on a just-in-time basis, limiting the have-it-already situations, and increasing access on demand allows an organization to better utilize its resources on immediate needs. This tactic is called virtualizing strategic resources. You might have or have to get resources, but they either are combined with other resources that create a product, or they are used immediately in the normal routine of keeping the processes working acceptably. Sustainability is all about resources management and environmental responsibility. We all know which resources to save and use wisely. Oil, water, and technology, devices, all draw out of the environment. Oil is costly to get out of the ground, to ship it from the source, typically in the Middle East, but evolving to other sources, to the processing locations in east, south, and west of the United States, and then ship it via truck, train, or pipe to the customer's gas pump and car. Water is one of those resources that continues to vary in availability. The location of rain or snow is usually not where there is high demand for water by consumers. It's a monumental task balancing the demand and availability of water. It has to be where the production is, the consumer use of it is, and where business consumers or customers are. There is a constant debate of where to store water, in reservoirs near water sources or reservoirs near the customers. The cost of water is going up and availability of water is decreasing. We pay more for water per gallon, approximately 3.8 liters, than we pay for a gallon, approximately 3.8 liters of gas. There are droughts constantly around the world, as well as surpluses in different locations. The variability of resource water is driving companies to figure out how to produce its products and services with lower requirements for water. This is good sustainability. All organizations in education, business, government, and civil society around the world must have this mandate. It improves our productivity and makes us more socially responsible. Successful organizations must also develop what I would call strategic agility. Go fast, go profitable, adjust quickly to the marketplace and the customer. It's much like a football player with a ball dribbling down the field and having to adjust and adapt to getting around the competitor's attacks. Aside from dealing with others' change, strategic agility is you or your company having the mindset that it will adjust quickly to competing efforts and changes in the business environment. To start agility, there must be an additional links between emotion, technology, knowledge, competencies. Strategic agility is preparation and anticipation to change with desired results in mind. Once the end goal is determined, it becomes the guide to check back to making sure that the company is still on track and may have to adjust accordingly. To be strategically agile, scan the environment regularly and look for clues and hints of what's to happen or what's planned for in the future. Good managers can make decisions and can help others make decisions also, not just to rubber stamp a budget or plan. Be on the lookout for changes and trends so as to be able to predict what's to happen in the future. Probably the most important characteristic of this century is the emergence and proliferation of human networks, not just for social connections, but for more and more productive collaboration, exchange, and increased competitiveness. These networks exhibit coopetition. Yes, that's right, coopetition, a combination of cooperating and competition, which ultimately postulates competitors cooperating with each other, usually in non-core functions. One dimension key to organizational survival is human emotions, inside and outside the firm. This is the letter E of the ETK model proposed by Miguel A. Cardenas. The emotion of customers should now be a permanent concern and focus at all levels and in all areas of our organizations. The same for the emotions of all our workforce, who represent our internal customers. Decision makers should be convinced that this is a crucial area that must be addressed and dealt with in a way that responds to the needs of everyone involved. Emotions should be addressed with strength. This is the time when Maslow's hierarchy of needs comes into play, where management needs to communicate and deal with employees and motivate them and sell to customers based on the 5 progressively increased valued needs where, first, physiological needs of air, water, food need to be satisfied. Second, safety and security needs need to be met. Then, if met, third, social needs should be addressed, followed by fourth, esteem or individual needs, and finally, fifth, self-actualization needs. These needs are individual. Relative to the person or company, they are dynamic since they are changing constantly, particularly in our current work environments, and may be shifted up and down the hierarchical pyramid based on milestones or incidents that shift them. Deaths in family may threaten some people's needs, whereas promotions in a job may shift the needs up. The emotions of individuals are in play in all of these 5 needs. The 5 needs should be addressed, but they differ significantly by the environment they are in. We operate in 3 environments, all months of the year, days of the week, all hours of the day, 24/7, 365. These environments are 1, our work school environment, our social interactive environment, and 3, our personal individual environment. We constantly float between them. It is critical to know which environment and need an employee, a customer, or the company is involved with at a given time so that you can plan to communicate with them regularly at the best times. We should remember that one's needs differ at work or school, in the social interactive or the personal individual environment. You shift between environments many times throughout the day. The key when communicating is to do it when people are most receptive and responsive. This means that it is most important to approach someone when you can appeal to the person within the environment and the need level that he or she is operating in, and that is important for them. Let's now review the dimension of technology, or T, in our organizations and our lives. The proliferation of telecom and information technologies, without doubt, is one of the key driving forces of the intense process of globalization we are experiencing in recent years. This proliferation, combined with the explosion of knowledge in just about all industries and sectors, are the reason why we say that we live now in a new world where just about all of us need reinvention. The K, or knowledge component of the ETK model, is particularly critical in networked environments, like the one we all work in today. How much knowledge to share? What type? Which to keep proprietary? And what to sell or donate to improve our productivity and competitiveness? This brings us to the important issue of sustainability, which is the middle S in the 3 S's model of synchronization, sustainability, and solidarity, proposed by Miguel A. Cardenas. How does ETK and sustainability fit together? Organizations are finding that efforts towards effective sustainability pay off in customer appreciation and increased sales. Further, sustainability is rightfully growing from being more than recycling, packaging, supplies, and consumables. For example, Starbucks, the coffee shop in more than 25 countries around the world, is known to be a sustainability-focused or green company. The company is always looking for ways to decrease its impact on the physical environment. This being said and understood, think about the impact on the earth of one day's sales of coffee by Starbucks in the United States, over 20 million cups. To put this into perspective, those 20 million cups stretch over 900 miles, over 1,400 kilometers, if they were placed next to each other. That huge impact doesn't include the lids, the wrappers, the plastic sleeves, and shipping boxes the cups go into, and is only one day's sales. There are constant efforts to increase the recyclability of a cup, to minimize the packaging, to reduce handling, to reduce the processing, and to get customers involved in the process by using their reusable cups and bottles. So where do you look for sustainability? Well, any process from start to purchase through to use of the product and through all stages of recycling and repurposing are involved or to be sustained. Creative resources management is by definition a strategy that points you towards sustainability. For example, using your resources more effectively and with total respect and responsibility towards our environments and planet Earth as the living system we all share, even if we disagree or fight amongst each other or with others for other reasons. A reality of our new world is that all things are integrated. By this I mean that what happens in resource acquisition and use will impact an entire country's economy, society, and politics. Businesses and corporate leaders know the link between the three. Ultimately, the more stable the politics of a country is, the more stable and likely companies are to invest in that country. Businesses don't want to invest their limited resources in less stable areas where they may be at risk of losing them or not getting full value from their employees. Another new reality is the globalization of supply chains. It is always good for companies to figure out where they are in the supply chain. Most people start supply chains at the manufacturer's level. While that's a good point, the more realistic point is to go all the way back to the source of raw materials that go into the end product. Once that's in mind, look at the fact that as products and services go through the supply chain, they are adding time, steps, and costs which make it more costly. It is without a doubt that companies have to avoid obsolescence. It's better for organizations to synchronize their internal processes and make them compatible with those that are external and competitive. The primary link between the players and components and processes of the supply chain is sales, selling, which connects each part to the universal end of a made sale. Today, go direct is heard constantly. That is, to reduce the number of players and processes involved. At the same time, it's important to get close to the customer. Speeding a product to the customer is advantageous to all. Companies often resist change since it causes them to redo the players, the resources, and the processes of the supply chain involved in the supply chain. It's best to identify other players to partner with whose core competencies involve the services you are not exceptional with. This is why collaboration networks and alliances are so prevalent in all the sectors of business. We each contribute to the network with our strengths and remedy our weaknesses with the strength of the other members of our collaboration network. This is possible, of course, because of the power of telecommunications and information technologies today on a global scale. I see our productive and social environment grow and change at the local, regional, and global levels. It is happening faster and faster and is increasingly unique. Those organizations and individuals that participate in the changes and growth will succeed. Those that observe and play passenger will fall behind. Don't be a passenger. Be the captain. Okay, now that you are the captain of your organization, it is imperative to implement the correct strategies involving change and risk. Both are often challenging for top executives and the worker teams throughout the organization. One of the themes of change that is being seen lately is simplicity. Companies have found that in order to maximize the availability, accessibility, and effective use of their resources, it is better not to try to be a full-service company that does all the functions of an organization, or provide all the possible products and services that are possible. On the other hand, it is important to look at a target audiences and what they find attractive in a product or service, and mass customize it for them. Let's look at simplification and streamlining the use of resources. As the use of technology has risen, manufacturers have been able to make different versions of products as a way to personalize the product offerings and get customers to feel that their purchases are more personalized. At a local Walmart here in San Diego, California, I saw that there were over 60 different versions of toothpaste available. These differences were based on container type and size, colors, tastes, and other features such as tartar control, whitening, and cavity protection, and finally breath freshening capabilities. And that's just for toothpaste. This puts a huge burden on consumers to decide amongst the variety of products, and as a result, consumers often ignore promotions and just keep buying what they have in the past. Today, companies are thinning the choices and cutting down the versions to 25 or 30. Simplifying is occurring in many of most consumer goods, and consumers are responding favorably. This simplification and synchronization is not just being done at the product level, it's also being done at the company level. It seems like a day doesn't go by that we hear of big companies made up of many others are selling off some of their parts to get back to doing their core competencies. Procter & Gamble, P&G, is selling off some and at the same time reorganizing its executives and their duties. I am impressed with the number of companies that are getting back to their core competencies and then outsourcing much of the other work that needs to be done. While this is disruptive in the marketplace, it's also creating options for others. An example of this is Amazon providing same-day delivery of purchases and increasing delivery in certain locations of the United States. How? Amazon is contracted with the United States Postal Service, USPS, to make the Sunday deliveries and many of the others. USPS delivers massively Monday through Saturday, but much of its personnel and equipment sits idle on much of Saturday and Sunday. So Amazon now takes advantage of the availability of the delivery service on a discount, paying full or premium prices. We are also seeing financial institutions offloading divisions and advertising agencies cutting back the services they provide. Both are getting back to their core competencies and are then hiring other companies to do their non-core work. But for those companies, it is their specialty or core work. So in the end, the customer gets the best product and service. Change doesn't come without risk. That is, risk of failure, over-expenditure, customer resistance, and competitor tactics. Many companies and consumers won't change simply because their decision-making may be limited or not proven. but also for fear of risk, since it's easier just to keep doing what they have been doing. There are software packages that help companies to evaluate risk and suggest tactics to implement that have a high success rate. At the same time, there are executives that are better at creating change, minimizing the risk, and increasing the likelihood of success. Often, what reduces risk is to have an excellent monitoring system in place that provides executives with an early warning of trouble, and then those companies have a quick, implementable backup plan in response. Corporations are in the business to make money, make profit, and satisfy stakeholders. Here in the United States, we have rather high corporate tax rates, which often discourage tactic implementation due to anticipated tax implications. In response, U.S. companies are increasing their globalization efforts and spending the profits in other countries. Since production of the products is often done in those countries, it is good for them on the labor and economic side. In response to the tax issue concern, many companies are looking at what's known as inversion. This is a tactic where a company sells part or all of itself to a company in another country with lower tax rates. So, companies may drop their tax rates from 34% down to 10 to 15%. Bringing back the issue of risk, the search for customers, as described above, should only be done to maximize revenue and sales and not at the expense of customers. You don't want to lose customers, but the risk is high. That may happen. One of the reasons McDonald's is changing its menus and processes so significantly in the United States is in response to the customers finding the huge offering of meals and snacks to be overwhelming, and also as customers have left in favor of other outlets for their simplicity, higher quality, and even efficiency. McDonald's was known for consistency and efficiency. While they still may have consistency, they have lost much of their efficiency as their drive-through service line times have increased to over 3 minutes. Now, many customers are saying the line is too long, the price may not be attractive enough, and there's an alternative fast food or coffee shop just down the street where they can get something as satisfying. This may also be an example of customers being tired of the same old thing and not just keep buying their routine product. Instead, in the competitive markets, the customers go elsewhere to get their meals or products. The guiding force for any and all of these strategies and tactics is the customer. Customers are the source of revenue. They are the source of repeated sales. They are the source of jobs. They are the source of profits. And ultimately, they are the source of innovation. By the customer being the source, I mean that everything that a company does should be guided by the positive impacts it will have on the customer. Changes in processes should be reviewed and implemented as long as they benefit the customer and likelihood to acquire and satisfy more customers. Innovations that are being promoted to customers should be done only if the customers will respond favorably. New hiring activities or new products or elimination of products and services all should be first reviewed with the customer in mind. What they say, what they will do, and how will they respond. Some of the changes that might be implemented may come from former customers. At the same time, you might think of making changes that will get new customers. The intent of change in marketing is to get existing customers to buy more, get former customers to buy again, and get new customers to start buying for the first time. More, again, start. In summary, organizations need to acquire and creatively manage resources that will be synchronized with the goals of the organization and throughout the organization's employees. All functions of the organization should be guided by the practices of sustainability, focusing on customers, and that is done through enhancements in products and services all the while and providing personalization, simplicity, and reasonable prices. Thank you.